Okay, we'll call the meeting to order tonight for the City of Saratoga Springs, Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 6:02 PM. Present tonight, I have Councilman Wadman, Councilman Carn, Councilman Wilden, and Councilwoman Barton. So we do have a quorum this evening. I've asked Councilman Carn to lead us in our invocation and Councilman Wilden to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be gathered here as local civic leaders and citizens and to discuss the business of our city. We're grateful for the blessings of freedom and liberty that we enjoy, and we ask that we will have the spirit of discernment as we discuss our business items, and that we will be able to make decisions that are beneficial to future residents and our residents today, and do so in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Please rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have some recognition tonight for planning commissioners that have been working on our city planning commission. Sir.
Okay, we would like Ken Kilgore to come up, and we would like to recognize him. So Ken has spent 9.5 years on our planning commission. And this plaque here says, presented to Ken Kilgore for your dedicated service on the City of Saratoga Springs Planning Commission. Your hard work, honesty, positive attitude, and commitment to making Saratoga Springs a great community is sincerely appreciated by the mayor and the city council. Thank you, Commissioner Kilgore. And I want to add, it's a volunteer position. So Ken spent 9 years volunteering, coming twice a month on Thursday evenings. I am of the opinion that he read the packet more thoroughly than anybody. He could probably tell us which of us has the most typos out of all of us. He always asked very detailed questions. You could tell his commitment and passion was there. He always asked the developers, do you agree to follow everything that's in the code? Do you agree to all the conditions? Every single time, because he wanted them to be held to that standard and know that that was their obligation. And so, Ken first came on our commission as he was a neighbor to one of our council members, and just through their conversations, our council member said, "Hey, you would be great on our planning commission." And then also Ken's wife did work here as a office assistant in planning. So just in their family, they, I feel like, have a passion for planning. You probably get to talk about it a lot. And the only reason that Ken is leaving is we have term limits. And that's the only reason. Otherwise, he would still be here. The term limits just allow other people to volunteer. But this is always a bittersweet because Ken has been a fantastic planning commission member. He has put his heart and soul into it. He has read every word of every packet, and we just appreciate everything he has done on the plan.
Ken, thank you so much. I remember when you got onto the planning commission, we were still fixing code, starting to work Title 19. I think you can honestly look back and say you can see your fingerprints throughout the community as we've laid out what was a road in this community to business parks and communities and sustainable areas and walkability. So thank you for all of your service to the city and all your hard work. Thank you. Councilman Carn?
Thank you, Ken. I know we served together. I know you served with Councilwoman Barton. I feel bad for Wan Wan Walk and their loss of revenue because Ken would always come with soup for every meeting, but thank you, Ken.
No, I just wanted to say that same thing real quick as well, is that he did come with us dinner every night, but he came with us dinner because he was super prepared, right? And he was ready to work, and he was such a great mentor for me, just in all the work he put into. Again, like you said, I think you read every single little detail, no matter what. And so I just want a big thank you to you for being a mentor to me. I mean, you got me kind of, in how the workings of how it all worked and stuff like that. So you've been phenomenal, and I'm actually a little sad. a lot sad that you can't be on there anymore, but thank you for all you did for Planning Commission. You did a great job.
Thank you.
And we do have one more commissioner that he is having to end his commission because he took a job out of state. Wasn't able to make it tonight, but we do want to mention Reed Ryan. He was on our planning commission for 4 years. He as well was a fantastic member for the last, I believe it was the last year. He was nominated as the chair. He did a fantastic job as the chair, and he'll be missed as well.
Thanks, Reed.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you again. Public input. Time's been set aside for public input. Input is limited to no more than 15 minutes total. Time's been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, and comments for subject matter not listed on the agenda tonight. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetitive comments. Please be respectful in your comments. Tonight, I know we've received a lot of emails with a lot of comments. I know there's some people here for one particular item, so if the council would indulge me, I would like to break it up into 2 public hearings, or public inputs. One to allow for the topic that we've received a lot of comment on so they can be heard, but if anybody's here for any other topic tonight, we'll do that first as a separate public hearing, in case anybody's here for mining or anything else. Public input, sorry. Public input. So I'll open up a public input for any other items first, and then we'll come back to the Western Hills that everybody has emailed about being here tonight for, so that we give a fair chance for people to be heard tonight. So public input, anybody here for any other item this evening? Okay, seeing none, I will close out public input, and I will open up public input. Again, time is limited to no more than 15 minutes total. Please avoid repetitive comments. Please be respectful in your comments, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. We'll open up public input and close it at, my mind just went blank. 6:25.
Good evening. My name is Kaylee Kale. My address is 123 West Beechwood Drive, Saratoga Springs. Tonight, I'm here to talk to you about the proposed development, Redwood Square, that's off Redwood Road and Aspen Hills Boulevard, that has a proposed through traffic street from the new development into our neighborhood, Western Hills. While we understand the importance of economic development, this significantly threatens the safety, character, and well-being of our community. Come to you asking for help. The Redwood Square development has been on our radar. Originally, members of our community attended the city council meeting in August of 2023, and we asked for removal of high traffic and disruptive businesses like car washes, smoke shops, and bars. While we appreciate the city council's decision to remove some high impact uses, the original plan for 2 office buildings near our neighborhood has been changed to 25 businesses, including 5 drive-throughs and 1 medical office building. Essentially, the development has become the highest density stretch of land it could have possibly become, and the implications are daunting, considering it's far more high use than what should be reasonably placed within a stone's throw distance of a single-family home, low-density community. One of the 3 main entrances and exits for this development is through Western Hills. Essentially, the future commercial development has been set up to have cars enter on Redwood and exit through our neighborhood. Looks like it might be a simple solution on a map, but when you look at it in person, it's not just a few homes. The reality is there will also be people coming from Eagle Mountain who will be pushed through from Google Maps to go past the elementary school, Riverview Elementary School, which already has a lot of congestion in the area, through the roundabout by the park, and then all the way from corner to corner through our entire neighborhood. It will not just be a few houses that will be impacted. And our streets are, quite frankly, not even large enough to accommodate such traffic. There's barely enough room for parking on each side of the street. Nonetheless, for 2 cars to be coming and going if there's any cars parked on the street. The traffic impact study projects over 7,000 daily vehicle trips to the area, with over 100 cars per hour entering our neighborhood, a car every 35 seconds. The traffic study was not done at the appropriate time, I feel, the change from office use to retail and fast food, which will generate higher traffic volumes. The development was approved with little discussion by the council in September of 2024. unresolved impacts of our neighborhood. Allowing the through traffic into Western Hills will compromise safety and increase risks to pedestrians and children. It will bring noise pollution, light pollution, crime, vandalism, loitering, and extended business hours that disrupt the quiet, family-friendly character of our community. Additionally, the property values will decline. We are asking for removal of the through street into Western Hills to prevent the non-local traffic from cutting through our neighborhood, or at the very least, an emergency-only gate. We are asking for a construction of a stone fence to provide a buffer and maintain privacy and safety, and measures to reduce the light pollution. We have a petition with over 400 signatures asking for a responsible solution to these issues.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Pavel Osler, and my address is 111 West Beechwood Drive. I'm very grateful for opportunity to speak here tonight about the same issue that Kaylee Kale just addressed as well. And to avoid repetitive comments, I wanted to spend time highlighting why we chose our neighborhood when we moved here 6 months ago, and also describe a little bit of the character of the neighborhood so that you have more personal touch when you debate this issue later on. My wife and I moved into the Western Hills about 6 months ago, back in July 2024. And before purchasing our home here in Saratoga Springs, we rented a townhouse on a busy street in Davis County. And as our family began to grow, we have 2 young children, we realized that living by a busy street had its negative connotations, and we looked for a peaceful and a more quiet community. And Western Hills checked every box for us. It is a small, quiet neighborhood filled with young families like ours. In fact, when we walked around and took a survey around our neighborhood, we have around 60 young children, ages under 12, playing on the streets and running around. And before making a move, my wife and I, we even went around and knocked the doors of our future neighbors-to-be to really ask whether this community fits the safety bill that we were looking for. Since moving in, it exceeded our expectations. The elementary school is within the walking distance. We consider that a huge blessing for us. Our kids love running outside and play with their friends, and we already attended several block parties held on our streets in our residential community. And this connection and safety makes Western Hills very special to us. But beyond safety, we also love the location. As you may see on the map, Western Hills is about 5 minutes away from the gym, from Costco, from Walmart, and we love the proximity to all of the retail and entertainment options. And in fact, when we heard about the Redwood Square development, we were excited that there will be more retail and entertainment options available, but that excitement soon replaced with anxiety, knowing that there will be a through street going right through the neighborhood where our children play. And we're not opposed to growth. In fact, we recognize that for the successful city, we need growth. We need these businesses to come in and develop, and we want to have these options available, but we ask you as city council members to consider how we can make that growth more responsible and not put our children and our community in danger.
Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Mitch Jackson. My address is 66 West Western Hills Drive, Saratoga Springs, Utah. And I'm a resident, obviously, of the Western Hills neighborhood. I'm here to address the concerns of our community regarding the upcoming commercial development, as have all said, with Redwood Square and Precision Medical Office, particularly regarding ways we might mitigate some of the concerns our neighborhood has regarding traffic, noise, and light pollution, to build upon what my neighbors have already stated. Firstly, we recognize and appreciate the growth and economic benefit that Redwood Square has and will bring to Saratoga Springs. However, as residents living in close proximity, my family being one that will share property boundaries with this new development, we have a vested interest in ensuring that the impact of our neighborhood is minimized, and this development will be within 20 feet of my residence. We want to work collaboratively with the city and the developers to achieve a balanced outcome. One of our primary concerns is the potential for excessive traffic, as we've stated already. As you're aware, Redwood Square is projected to bring thousands of cars daily, and our neighborhood is designed to as a major entrance and exit. This influx of traffic is not only excessive, but also in violation of Saratoga Springs City Code, Title 19.17.04, which says that the city should avoid allowing high-intensity uses adjacent to lower-intensity, however, may allow these uses to be located adjacent to each other if appropriate transitions and buffers are in place. A vinyl fence and through street is not an appropriate transition or buffer. To address this, we propose blocking off access to our neighborhood completely. We believe the strategic planning and effective communication and implementation can significantly reduce the burden on our neighborhood roads. Additionally, the lot just north of Redwood Square will be developed very soon as a medical office, and it has an exit onto the major road north of us, Aspen Hill. These two developments will be joined by their respective parking lots, and this will more than suffice as a replacement exit and entrance, allowing cars to access the street light at Aspen Hills and Redwood Road and the ability to turn north or left on Redwood Road, which is a concern. We propose that the city council does not approve the medical office building site if it does not have a cross-access road to Aspen Hills. Another concern is light pollution. I've mentioned already how close our homes are to this development. We ask that the city works with the developer to install responsible lighting that flood the area. Furthermore, we propose the construction of a stone fence along the border between Redwood Square and Western Hills. We will speak with the developer of Redwood Square about this stone wall, but have no guarantees and are asking you, the city council, to help in any ways that you can. This barrier will serve multiple purposes. It will act as a noise buffer, deter unwanted foot traffic, and provide a clear boundary and respects the privacy and tranquility of our neighborhood. We ask for your help to work with the developer and planning commission to remove the access to Western Hills. In conclusion, we are not opposed to the development of Redwood Square. Instead, we seek, do I keep going or do I stop now?
Stop.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
City Council members, my name is Adam Jones. I'm also a resident of Western Hills. My address is 157 Alder Lane. I'm also a registered professional civil engineer, and some of the responses we've received by City Council and by the staff has been to look at the traffic impact study. And as I look into that study, I emailed you all last night about some of the issues that we have with that study. Your staff, City Council, have mentioned 4,110 cars. That's not true. In your study, it says there will be 7,270 cars daily going to this development. On top of that, when they did the traffic impact study, it was 2 of the buildings were office buildings. Since then, they've been updated to retail. 5 of the 5 buildings are retail. This impact study is not correct. It's underestimating traffic. Later, your engineer did update the impact study in August 2024, still with these underestimated numbers, and they estimated 102 cars driving through our neighborhood in the study. 102 cars. That's almost 2 cars a minute in the hours of 8 to 9 a.m. That's when our children are walking to school. 102 cars. The Institute for Transportation Engineers defines this as a poor environment where residents are at high risk due to motor traffic. This is unacceptable. The development, like has been mentioned, north of Redwood Square shows a cross-access road that can help mitigate this traffic going through our neighborhood. It also provides you with the exit and entrances that you need that have been mentioned. So we talked to Sarah Carroll about this yesterday. She was very kind to talk to us. And she informed us that it's within the City Council's power to block off the access road to Western Hills, and it will not impact the development. We ask you to vote about blocking Western Hills, blocking this road, because it gives you everything you need to be able to get cars into and out of the development with the new Precision Medical Office building. We ask you to protect our children and our neighborhood from this safety hazard of all of these cars. We're not opposed to the development, but we ask that it be developed responsibly. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening. My name is Chris Groneman. I live at 112 Beechwood Drive. I'm here today to request your support as we continue working to address some important safety and quality of life concerns with the Redwood Square development. While we understand and respect the importance of development for growth of our city, we've been working with the developer to address the challenges this project presents to our neighborhood. My goal today is to share the steps we've taken so far, the concerns that remain, and to propose ways the city can be more involved in helping us find solutions. Over the past week, we've engaged with the developer and have communicated the specific concerns of our neighborhood. As previously portrayed, the most pressing issues include safety risks posed by traffic routed through our streets, the close proximity of Building 5 and its added drive-through, and outdated traffic studies that don't fully account for the changes in the development. I'd first like to acknowledge the developer's willingness to engage with us. Despite being on the other side of the world this past week, he's responded to our concerns and expressed an openness to finding common ground. We've suggested rerouting traffic directly to Aspen Hills. We've asked for a more substantial sound barrier, replacing the current 6-foot vinyl fence with a CMU or block-style wall to help mitigate noise from the development. We've raised concerns about the lighting in the development and asked for dark sky compliant fixtures. The developer has shown flexibility, however, we still have some unresolved issues, especially around the potential safety risks of our children. While we have made progress, it's clear that the city's involvement is crucial to ensuring that these concerns are addressed comprehensively. This is where we would appreciate the city's support. Help facilitate easements needed to reroute traffic directly to Aspen Hills Boulevard and ensure safety standards are met. Ensure the developer adheres to noise, operational hours, and environmental standards regarding lighting. Help establish a regular check-in between the community, developer, and city officials to keep everyone informed and address emerging issues. Ultimately, our goal is to ensure that this project is a success, but also that it does not come at the expense of our community's safety, quality of life. In conclusion, we are committed to working with the developer and the city to find solutions that serve everyone's best interests. We understand that compromises are necessary, but we believe with the city's support, we can create a development that is both safe and beneficial to the community. I respectfully ask the City Council to assist us by advocating for the changes we have discussed today and continue fostering a constructive dialogue between residents, the developer, and city officials. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you tonight for coming out and for your emails to sharing that. I'm going to close public input. This is now 6:25. This isn't normally a point of dialogue. Okay.
I can. Is there one main point of contact from the community that I can talk to at another time? Is it Kaylee? Would that be who it is?
Yeah, you can talk to me now. I sent an email last night, Adam Jones.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, reports. Anything from the council?
I just have one thing.
No.
Perfect. Hey, Mark, I just wanted to see if we could get a pending ordinance in the next couple of weeks, the next month-ish, for like grading slope, that type of stuff that's been going on. Anyway, 2 weeks might be too soon because I know our staff is ultra busy, but just in the next soonish would be awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilman Wilden?
And Mark or Kevin, you can correct me. I just want to make sure that the residents know the items discussed tonight isn't on the agenda. We can't take any action legally tonight. I just want to make sure everyone knows that they were heard. We are listening, and we're not being dismissive. Did I get that right? Okay, thanks.
Okay. And then just reminder, tomorrow, we have the joint city council with Lehigh, American Fork, Cedar Hill, or Alpine, to talk about roads going east-west and funding to improve traffic in northern Utah County. So we will be having that meeting tomorrow evening. American Fork, Fox Hollow.
I'm glad I heard. I would have showed up to Talon's Cove.
Yeah. Mark, anything from administration? Oh, sorry, Councilman Wadman.
So I know a few of you are leaving. Thank you for coming and being heard. That's part of the process. This is a communication, this is a dialogue, right? We recognize you guys as citizens of our beautiful community. And we want to let you know that you were heard. And obviously there will be conversations too, it sounds like, going forward. So, but thank you for coming. This is a beautiful part of the process, so.
Yeah. Councilwoman Barton?
I don't need to say it either because these guys have said it as well, but I want you guys to know too that I'm very grateful for your guys' emails and for you guys coming out. Again, like Lance said, Councilmember Wadman, sorry, it's part of the process and it's a good process. And we want you guys here and we want you guys sharing your concerns and emails coming here. It's a good thing. So we appreciate it. Again, as was said as well, we can't dialogue, but we're talking and we've heard you, and so I want you guys to be aware of that as well, so.
Mark, anything from administration?
No, we do have need for a closed session this evening.
Okay.
Otherwise, thanks.
Perfect. We'll go to consent items. There's been a request to pull item 5 and do that motion separately. So I will entertain a motion on items 1 through 4 and 6.
I move to approve consent.
Oops.
Yellow. I move to approve consent items 1 through 4 and 6 as stated on the agenda.
I have a first from Councilman Karn,
Second.
second from Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? Barton?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Karn?
Aye.
Wadman?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to consent item 5. If there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion. If we have comments, it is rezoned from agricultural to R10 to build a church house.
As well as some,
There's one cul-de-sac of residential. and
probably a cul-de-sac
later phase.
residential.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I just didn't want a rezone to be in a consent item. That's why I asked for it to be pulled. So I will make a motion to approve consent item 5, Saratoga Hills 7, formerly Israel Canyon, church and residential development rezoned from ag to R110, development agreement and concept plan located approximately at Grandview Boulevard and Redwood Road. Ordinance 25-03 dated today with any staff findings and conditions.
I have a first from Councilman Karn.
Second, if he reads it again.
I have a second from Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion? Karn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Wadman?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have a public hearing tonight for the Pony Express well site annexation, Utah County parcel number as stated on the agenda, city-owned and city-initiated. Everybody left for the exciting stuff.
Annexation of a well.
There's still some people here, Mayor.
I know. Julian, it's nice. You don't get enough of the school board? Oh.
All right, Mayor and Council, this is a fairly simple annexation, just a small piece on Pony Express, where the city has had a public works well site for quite some time. It's just been in the county. We've never gone through the motion of annexing it, and it's just kind of one of those housekeeping things. We decided it's adjacent to our borders. It belongs in the city, and so we've gone through the process now. You approved an intent to annex at an earlier meeting, and now we've gone through all the noticing. There's been no notices received from adjacent property owners or other entities. So we're here clear and ready to annex this property. So we recommend it. It has been looked at by engineering and planning staff. And so we have the plat ready to go as identified on the screen here. So.
Okay. This is a public hearing, so I will open it up for the public to express any concerns. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please avoid repetitive comments. Is anybody here for comment for the public hearing?
Joy Lynn?
Seeing none, I will close the public hearing on the Pony Express well site. Are there any comments from the council? If not, I'll entertain them.
I have one. On the second condition where we're saying, hey, they have to update it in their DAP within 2 years. Historically, like 2 years for them is,
That's the next item. That's the next public hearing.
oh, well, thanks for making me look stupid.
You did that yourself.
That's all you. Some things are just
Never mind.
easy.
I'll move approval.
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, as stated on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll move approval of the public hearing item 1 as stated on the agenda, including any staff findings and conditions.
Okay. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second, Councilwoman Barton. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Barton?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Wadman?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We now have the one that Councilman Wilden is excited for. Public hearing item 2, West Saratoga, 162 acres annexation. Utah County parcel number is stated on the agenda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I apologize, the acreage didn't get, the address didn't get updated on this page here, but it is 160, almost 163 acres at the site in the picture. The picture is correct here. This is on behalf of the Corporation of the Presiding Bishopric of the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. So one parcel, it's one entire parcel to be annexed, and a portion of this is on the potential future Alpine School District high school site. So it's being one parcel, it's a simple annexation here. The proposed zoning that the applicant is requesting is planned community to be incorporated into the district area plan. And then the development agreement, so the city and the applicant are still finalizing a few minor items left on the development agreement. So staff is proposing that any approval be contingent upon the approval of the development agreement itself at the next council meeting, to make sure that we have time to iron it out properly. That meeting will be January 21st. But the development agreement stipulates the incorporation of the property into the DAP in terms of units, density, any types of uses that they'll propose on a very basic level. No additional density is being proposed with this annexation. So even though it's adding into the DAP, it's not proposing any additional density with that acreage. Also, I'd like to note that we noticed any reference to the DAP or district area plan, the formal name of the document is the City Center District Area Plan. So I just wanted to point that out for, if it has any legal ramifications, it's the City Center District Area Plan. And again, in the development agreement, this is intended to be updated within 2 years, likely sooner. We're already working with the applicant on some of these, elements leading up to a formal application for that. But any DAP amendment would be to incorporate this property and then also to update a lot of the terms of the DAP. And with that, I'll turn the item back over for questions.
Can I ask my brief question now? I was thinking in advance because the other one was super easy. So 2 years, like, I understand we want to get them updated, but historically, like, they move super slow. And we're not going to have this turn into like a Fox Hollow situation, right? Where like every year it wasn't every year, but like relatively frequently we were extending.
I believe they just need to submit an application for the DAP amendment within 2 years. Not that it has to be approved within 2 years. And the expiration, I believe, is coming up, not in the near future, but in not a long time. I can't remember off the top of my head. But that renewal would stipulate any additional expiration, which would be in somewhere from 10 to 20 years, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Mark,
go ahead.
do you have another comment?
Well, for me, since they're not adding any density, I would prefer not to have a condition that allows them to get out of it and then request additional density in the future. That's my point is I would rather not put, unless I'm totally missing something, which I probably am because I got too excited about this before, but I would rather just say it's approved, get it in, you can't, if it expires, you can't come back and apply for a new one and then get new density with a new council.
So as I understand it, and Kevin can correct me, if they do not proceed forward in that time period, then this is contingent upon that happening. And so it would be then a legislative decision at that point as well. So I don't necessarily think that, they could ask for it, but you or the future council wouldn't have to grant that for them. Because again, it's tied to them fulfilling the terms of the development agreement.
I think that, can I speak really quick? Okay, so what you're saying is you want to address the scenario of that 2 years running and what happens after that.
Yeah,
Add
I
language
just,
in the development agreement that it reverts to agricultural. So there isn't additional density.
not entirely. I would rather just make sure this is done regardless of the DAP without additional density.
What happens when a property is annexed? It's official when that final local plat is filed with the county. And when it is annexed, you're required to assign a zoning to the property.
And the
what
zoning would
you
be
mean is
the district area plan?
the planned
Planned
community
community.
zone.
Okay,
But in the DA, it basically spreads the density from the DAP onto this
Right.
property without adding additional density. For you to address the zoning issue, which is required at annexation, you'd have to address basically if that DAP is not amended.
So they're going to use the existing density they have on the DAP and spread it over 162
yeah,
more
this,
acres.
this,
Exactly.
if it's a word, this de-densifies
Right.
their current 3,000 acres.
Okay.
This is great.
Yeah, it's good, it's really good.
But a zoning where there would not be a lot of density attached to that would be ag, and it does have a small amount of density, but not much. I don't know how to address it other than that, but if you want to go.
Well, it sounds like it doesn't really matter what we do here, because like once it's annexed, then you assign a zone to it anyway, so.
Which would be the PC, but again, we have that development agreement coming in 2 weeks.
Right.
That annexes this into that DAP.
So, yeah, it's fine.
So we see that in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
I got one thing, Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Carn?
Yeah, so this annexation came to us because of a potential new high school, and I did speak to a board member of the Alpine School District today, and we were lucky to have another one in the audience. And I'm highly encouraging the Alpine School District to work with the city on their new location. What I don't want to have happen is have a plan come out of nowhere for a 50-acre project in this area that we've had no input on. And so please encourage Alpine School District staff who's working on this to reach out to our city managers, city engineers, and talk about the current, which is the third location of this high school within this area, to make sure it works with other projects that are coming in. Thank you.
No, I agree, because I think as a city, we want to help the school happen as fast as possible.
At the same time, it needs to be,
Done right.
yeah, there's going to be some roads that need to be connected, and
Yep.
that all needs to be planned.
So, perfect.
Mayor, I just wanted to make an observation. If the school district is looking to go really fast, then a rezone request that would speed it up would be to rezone this parcel outside of the DAP and outside of the planned communities zone, and to just zone it like institutional civic. Yeah, and so if they're concerned about haste, and in a conversation we had with one of their employees earlier today, it was about haste, and there is a faster way forward than going through the PC and the planned community zone, the area plan, the community plan, and then the village plan. So there's other options as well. And so again, if that's part of the communication, and if haste is really what they're looking for, that's probably a slightly faster path forward than going through the DAP.
So, a question on that then. Do we approve this annexation of the whole 163, and then they come back and rezone just the parcel that's the school?
So there's already a 40-acre parcel that would be on the school site that's not in the DAP either. And so
Yeah,
that
but part
was,
of that is
that's
out
ag.
of the city. That needs
That's-
to come in.
Well, so this annexed piece is coming into the city, and you can see it on the top of the map. That's the yellow box on the very
Yep.
top. So that's bringing it in. There's another parcel that is a 40-acre parcel that was recently acquired that was not included in the original DAP anyway. So that's part of the DAP amendments that take place.
Weird square. that
Yeah,
goes-
yeah, and so that, I believe, will make up part of the new high school parcel.
Okay.
And so, again, there's a couple of parcels that are already in the DAP, there's this that's coming into the city, and there's a parcel that's not currently zoned. So, again, we just want to work with the applicant and do what's right with what they're doing, and if time is of the essence, then that could be a slightly faster process. But I'm not aware that financing has been made available, so I don't know that the time for a community plan and a village plan would necessarily hold up any construction, but it's just something to consider.
Yeah, some of those financing questions could be addressed in the legislative session this time, potentially, with some of the bills being run. And I just want the school district to know that we have no interest in standing in the way, and we'll do everything we can to help this move forward.
Okay. Perfect. This is a public hearing. Is anybody here for comment on public hearing item 2 this evening? Please be respectful in your comments. Please avoid repetitive comments, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record at the podium.
Talking. Good evening. My name is Aaron Waite. I'm with Property Reserve and representing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on this property. So we are under contract with Alpine School District on this, and so I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So the reason we're asking Alpine School District to do the annexation is because under our contract, that's the requirement, is if they're building on that parcel, they bring the whole parcel into the city. But the school site, as it's currently looking like it'll be, is actually on 3 different parcels. One is this one that we're annexing, one is one that's already in the DAP, and one is that 40-acre piece that is not, it's annexed, but not, we bought it after the DAP was done, and we're intending to bring a DAP amendment within the next month or 2 to address bringing in that 40-acre parcel, figuring out some of these other things that are kind of outstanding. So timing-wise for that DAP amendment's pretty soon. We've been working for a long time to get that done, so to address your concern, we're working on it.
Thank you.
And have an application soon. So the reason we're, on this one, and I talked with Mark this morning about, different zoning. I think, and I've talked with the school district about that today too, I think what will probably happen is subsequent to bringing in the whole parcel to DAP, the district will make a decision on what's best for them, for their site. And because it's already 2 different zones, or 3, depending on how it goes, they're probably going to make either a request to bring it all into the DAP, separate from our DAP amendment, or bring it into the institutional zoning. So that'll probably be a separate request coming from the district, potentially. I can't speak for the district there, but hopefully that kind of clarifies it a little bit. If there's any other questions, I can help address.
And again, it just depends on timing. If they want it to be in the ground sooner, that could shave some time off. If they have the time, both of them are viable options, paths forward.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Julian, do you have any comments from the district?
No.
Okay, perfect. I will close the public hearing at this time and entertain a motion.
I move to approve public hearing 2, West Saratoga 162-acre annexation, Utah parcel number, 5804100187, corporation of the presiding bishop of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, owner Alpine School District as applicant, ordinance 25-05 dated today with any staff findings and conditions.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Carn,
Second.
second from Councilman Wadman. Got a,
And if you wanted to add the condition about the development agreement.
With the added condition on the development agreement.
okay, I have an amended first.
Second.
I have amended second. Any further discussion? Okay, Councilman Wadman,
Aye.
Barton,
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Business item 1, general plan amendment from regional commercial to business park for Utah Valley Turf Farm property.
It's already there. All right, Mayor and Council, we have been working on the concept of this general plan amendment for a little while. If you'll recall, back in June of last year, we did a general plan amendment and rezone on property to the east of this particular one, which is listed here. It's about 20 acres. So the green outlined property is the subject property tonight, 19.96 acres. All of it currently is in the regional commercial zone, but it is general planned, it's in the agriculture zone. I'm saying that backwards. But it is general plan to become regional commercial at some point. The property to the east, if you'll recall, in June, was a general plan amended and rezoned as shown here. The general plan amendment allows for, on that property to the east, the high-density commercial in the middle of that property with the regional commercial extending around it. What it used to look like was this blue property in the center was business park. And part of the conversation that we had when this was changed was that we should probably look at moving that business park to the west to this 20-acre property, which is subject property tonight. That property was approximately 12, or the area of that property that had the park general plan designation on it that was removed was approximately 12 acres. So the 20 acres to the west is a bit larger, but the request coming by direction from council was that we change that property, which is outlined there, to business park. This is a city-initiated application based on the direction that we received. We did noticing for this, sent out an early notice, and then the required noticing prior to Planning Commission, who heard this, and it was a split vote with Planning Commission, but the majority vote was that we should move forward with this.
Can you share really quickly, like, why it was a split vote? What were some of the?
There was a couple of commissioners who felt like either one of these was too high of intensity for being adjacent to the commercial to the north, and they felt like there would be a better land use on that property to be residential in nature rather than business park or regional commercial. But the majority vote was that we go forward with this request. So we do have here tonight the property owners who contacted us recently, and I guess for one reason or another, they were unaware of the noticing that we sent them regarding the Planning Commission public hearing, and then kind of came to this a bit late for tonight's determination. But we did meet with them today and discussed their desire for development on this property. So if it is okay with you, I did bring forward some of their exhibits, and they are here to explain what their desire. They would like to amend this request, but I'll let them, if you're willing to allow them to make that presentation, we can turn it over to them.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, can I ask just a couple questions before we do that?
You bet.
And this goes back a little bit, so across the street, when we redid that area, and we've now got that weird shaped high density in the middle of that project, right? The previous version of the map had more high density to the south, or is that?
It's all of the brown below that.
It's all that, okay.
Right, so it got reconfigured.
We didn't really necessarily on this piece add anymore, we just reshuffled it.
In regards to the regional commercial and the high-density residential, those
Just
were
moved it around a
reshuffled.
little bit.
But that business park was removed.
Now, okay, and we're trying to put that across the street. What, I did go back and watch the planning commission, and I understand what they're saying, but I didn't write it in my note. What's the difference in height between regional commercial and business park?
It was, Sarah, maybe you can help me remember, it was 75 feet maximum for business park and 65 for regional, 55,
So
sorry.
there's 20 more feet of height,
25 more feet.
25, sorry, in business
50
park.
and 75.
And what are the difference in setbacks?
They are, oh, those are, let me pull it up. Those are a bit different, depending on what's around it for business park.
Okay? Because I understand what, I do understand what the planning commissioner who was talking about it was driving at, that, you know, you got residential just to the north, and we could potentially put tall buildings in their backyard. But you know, if it's 25-foot difference, and it depends on the setbacks, that could, that does make a difference.
Just a second, and I'll share it on the
Okay.
screen.
Chris, can I ask you a question though? The residents to the north, are you talking on the other side of Crossroads?
Over here. Up here.
Yeah, above.
Not Crossroads, above this road. It's up in here.
So our regional commercial is this third column.
Yep.
And it's going to be different, right, if it's front, side, or rear, so it really depends. And then business park is third from the other direction. And so business park is interesting. If it's an interior side, it's equal to the height of the building. Where this has streets on all sides, it would be hard to predict ahead of time what's going to be the front, rear, and side.
Okay.
But they probably don't have an interior side. So then we would look at the front and corner side, which would be 10 feet in both zones. And then the rear would be, it's the same, 25 feet. And it's greater if it's adjacent to residential. So if it's adjacent, it's equal to the height of the building. But we don't know right now what would be the rear or the sides or
And
anything like
for
that.
the purpose of tonight's discussion, can we technically consider the site plan that they're showing us, or is this just for information?
It's just conceptual to
Okay.
show you what they may be coming for, what their desire is for the land use and zone.
Okay.
Can you tell me, just throw out a business park compared to regional commercial, the uses? So tell me some things that could be in a business park. I know regional commercial pretty well, but tell me like business park uses.
Some of the main differences are some of the more intense uses. Let me get to the use table. I think it's better if it's just up on the screen. And I'm just trying to remember the order, just a second.
So in regional commercial, it's going to be a lot more open for different types of commercial, including your drive-in or
Right.
drive-through type restaurants, where that would not be permitted in business.
And yeah, so that's my thing, like I don't like this height of the building, but I also like the uses better by residential. That's,
So you can see anywhere that there's a P in the RC column, but not in the BP. So it's in the RC, alcohol, beverage, animal, hospital, arts, crafts, automobile repair, automobile sales, automobile, and ATV rentals and sales. So none of those would be allowed in the business park. And then as we keep going, this one right here, a bar, and then building materials with outdoor storage, car wash, self-serve and full, so no car washes in that zone. And the commercial recreation, you know, so some of the bigger, I don't know what you call that, bounce houses and things like that. Convenience stores in both. Copy centers in both. Dockless shared mobilities in both. Drive-throughs in one, in regional commercial but not in business park, and then dry cleaners in both. And no, so dwelling above commercial is allowed in regional commercial but not in business park. And then education center is in both. Electronics media is in regional commercial, but not business park. And then electronic sales is in both. Equipment sales with indoor storage is in both. And
You don't have to go through all, I just was kind of wanting a general idea, but that helps a
Generally?
ton. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I appreciate that. Again, like it's
So really, it's a lot less
a lot, yes, a lot less uses, but
type of
again, the height and
uses
stuff
that are
like that
in the
is,
business park.
that's where it's, yeah.
There's really only a few, or maybe one that stands out to me here that is permitted in the business park, but is not permitted in retail
Yeah.
commercial. That would be an exhibition center. So it is really more for those larger type uses and less customer intensive.
Right.
So if the council is willing, we can look at the concept that the property owner
That'd be great.
has.
Okay, thank you for giving some time tonight. So,
Yeah.
so this is a site plan that subsequent to the Planning Commission notice we received, we developed. And can I point to anything?
no.
Okay, so the idea is to put the tall elements towards the Crossroads and Pioneer corridor, okay? What this plan is doing is kind of establishing the height of the property along Pioneer. This hotel concept is listed as 138 units. We don't know, but we think the hotel is a really viable use. We'd like to kind of characterize it here as a use that will support the healthcare facilities that are already in the vicinity. We're finding that we have a project in Spanish Fork where we have one hotel, we're now developing a second hotel in proximity to the IHC hospital that's there. And we've found that there's a great degree of compatibility with the hotel patrons and the hospital patients. So people use these facilities to support loved ones that are in the hospital stays for multiple nights when treatments are being received.
Is that the building in the, technically the bottom left?
The hotel building is bottom left, yes, the
Yes, okay.
elongated building. So
It was like a three-story?
Yeah, 3 or 4 stories. The market studies will dictate exactly how these will be developed, but I think that's where the efficiencies are. These concepts, this particular concept is the one that is being built in Spanish Fork. It's a Marriott co-branded concept. Has an extended stay component and a overnight component. So
And Sarah, is that allowed in BP?
I'm sorry, which use?
Hotel allowed in BP?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Okay, and this is a use that isn't in the city today, I don't believe, hotel, right? So this
Not
would-
currently.
Yeah, this would bring some use here close to the Mountain View corridor that we think would be a good enhancement and value add to the community on whole. The office buildings are scaled for a suburban type of density. These are anticipated at this point that they would be 2-story, so they're a convenient walk-up. We would anticipate that these would be about 20,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet for floor plate, which we find that those work really good in suburban environments where people can get in and out and up and down. And oftentimes, there are users here that are a little bit more service-oriented. We have a building in Highland, Utah, that has optometric, chiropractic, day spa, these kinds of things that are more kind of in and out, not so much large employer platforms where, people will come in and are spending the entire day without customer interface. These are more interactive buildings where citizens, local community members come in, go out, and they're kind of a lot of service oriented, as well as, general office users as well, but they seem to suit the community very well when they have a lot of service capacity, but we need a little bit more accessible, don't go in, go up the elevator on the 5th floor type uses. The larger building in the back here is a gym use, We think this works well with hotel and office, and they're very complementary from a parking demand standpoint, where the healthcare facilities have before work and after work peak loads on parking, which complement the hotel and they complement the office. So these are very complementary uses. The corner section, if I can identify the
Top
east.
right?
Yeah, let's see,
So you're saying a gym is your top left, your 40,000 square foot?
top left, yeah. Do I need to do something different?
Do you know
Scroll.
roughly,
It seems to have lost the scroll.
do you know what an EOS or a Vasa Fitness size is?
Yeah, 40,000.
They're about 40,000. Okay, I want to just trying to get a,
That particular footprint is an EOS. Now, we had EOS that was ambitious in wanting to be located in the most northeast corner of the Home Depot development. We determined in the end that we're just going to have too many parking conflicts. Although we had structured that into our covenants document with Home Depot, this is a much better location. You know, some of the experience you're having with Vasa and the impacts on the adjacent uses, this isolates a little bit, but also lines it up with complementary time uses for the parking, right? So we like this quite a bit. They're excited about that. They like the regional access with Mountain View Corridor and see this as a location that would be very good for their business. So we're trying to kind of move them from Home Depot side over to here.
What's the time frame for them?
Their timeframe was already passed in terms of the other sites, so they're ready to go now. And EOS has been on a national expansion program, so they're juggling slots, and they've continued to express interest in Saratoga Springs. We're just trying to find the place where it made the most sense and most compatible uses. So we think that this is here. Now, that's one story.
right?
The two buildings on the northeast corner, or the upper right, are one-story retail, okay? And they would be flex buildings. We don't know who the tenants are, but they are designed to continue to be in the regional commercial zone, so they would stay red. And they would we don't know if they're single-tenant or multi-tenant or food or other retail uses, but we think that the signal being installed on Pioneer and 1400, is that the cross street? All three east, and that road now goes into the adjacent retail property to the east. So you'll have three corners there that would all be retail and kind of synergistically relate to each other. We would have more of a tax-based generating, sales tax generating uses here that would take advantage of the traffic and the access that's afforded by the signal.
So a question on that for Ken or Sarah, because our current item on the agenda is to rezone the entire thing to BP. And he just mentioned he wanted to keep that corner as RC.
Yeah.
So this is a general plan amendment request, not a rezone.
Okay,
So it all currently is regional commercial. So what the request is that we don't change all of it from regional commercial to BP, but we do a majority of it, but hold out that northeast corner and leave it as it currently stands as regional commercial. So I'm imagining, and maybe council can pitch in, that a modification would be in order in that we're not doing anything different than what is already being changed from regional commercial to business park. We're just saying which acreage. We're changing the acreage.
how much acreage are we, I can't read that.
There's
What is the
about 3
acreage?
acres that would be retained in regional commercial. The prior acreage was represented to be about 12 acres. We roughly scaled 13 and a half for business park. We would be moving the 13 acres would be increased to 17 by going across the road. So it's an increase in the overall business park from what the previous general plan had. And then we would be doing a variety of uses within the business park which are allowed. We would maintain kind of a more commerce-oriented use for those two components. They're roughly an acre each, acre and a half each, that would be fronting the intersection and have the right in, right out on Crossroads.
Yeah,
So we feel like those are complementary and compatible uses with both sides of the road and everything else that's happening.
Well, and I think your site plan addresses a lot of the concerns I heard at planning commission.
Right, I agree with that.
What were those concerns, Chris?
Tall buildings next to the residential.
Okay.
You've got a couple of RC buildings that are most likely drive-through type facilities and a one-story gym and a lot of parking. That, that's not a lot of,
Well, in other areas of the city, they'd rather have tall buildings over regional commercial. I'm just saying, like, anyway.
So that building in the northwest, that 40,000 square foot?
gym.
Yeah, what's the main access to get there? Would it be coming through this roundabout off of Crossroads? And
You could, or you can come off 1400 North, go
Okay.
to the west, or you can come in through the right in, right out
Okay.
off of
Crossroads?
Crossroads, right. Now, I would expect that most people would take advantage of the light, that if they're coming from the east, along Crossroads, they'd go on 1400 to the gym facility. If they're coming from the west, they would come in on Pioneer, turn north on Crossroads, and they could come in either through the roundabout or the right in, right out as they go.
Well, they
Come
could-
straight from
yeah.
Lehigh Bakery.
Well,
But they couldn't come in through the right and right out.
Yeah, they won't go there. They'll go through
yeah,
they'll go through the
I get
full
you.
access intersection. through
Or,
the
yeah, go to the
roundabout, up
bakery, then
light.
come to the gym.
Right. Yep. So this is conceptual. We haven't spent time and money on the engineering, just the schematic here. But I think this is a really good representation of what you would expect to see if the general plan amendment is approved as suggested tonight. And then we'll bring back a concept plan. We're prepared to proceed immediately with zoning, and concept plan would be submitted in that process that would match this.
And I know that this is just a schematic, but that building, I mean, we talked about that it go from 50 to 75. But what would be the intent? Would that be 75? Is that what you would take it to, or we don't know yet?
Building?
The 40,000 square foot building. Would that be the gym?
Yeah, that's the gym. So it'd be 40,000 feet.
Yeah, but what's the height of
Oh,
that?
it's not 50 to 75.
Yeah, okay,
They're
that's
about, the maximum on those is somewhere,
35, 40?
I'm going to say like 30, 35 feet, right, is what they are for their clear space inside.
And maybe it's just
That's the
because
exterior.
Okay.
it's hard to see, but what's the circle right next to the gym?
Oh, that's just a turning radius for, we look at these buildings and we have to anticipate that if somehow the gym fails and goes out, what if we had to have it backfilled with retail and you had to turn a truck and use a loading dock and those things? So that's just a
Okay.
for a rear receiving analysis. So the 100-foot radius allows the vehicles to come in and turn.
Well, so we're just changing the general plan.
From regional to business.
But I like this concept.
I like it better than regional commercial, having regional commercial there. That's,
I just think based on demand, we're excited to see the gym. For what residents have asked for a rec center, overcrowded Vasa that's failing.
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah,
great news for the.
we're finding,
There's for sure demand for that.
there's a lot of friction between traditional retail and gym because of the parking loads, right? And, I don't
Oh,
think
yeah.
They're directly across the street from a senior community.
And properly, they become
discount over
really good co-tenants and land uses. We think it works with hotel, it works with the office, and the retail is ancillary, but takes advantage of the traffic and the, so that'll be, we don't know the uses, like I said, but it will be, this one might be more service than more traditional retail here, where people are providing, physical therapy or day spa type uses, cosmetic treatments, these kind of things.
So a fitness center is listed as an ancillary use to business park, so it's not meant to be a primary use. Based on that, you don't have to make a decision tonight. You could, this is new information to staff, right? The concept plan. So we only got it a few days ago ourselves.
If we do this to business park, will that impact the gym or slow it down?
Yes. Well, no. I mean, they have to do a rezone anyway.
Yeah.
So zoning doesn't have to match the general plan. If you amend it to business park, they could request to change it back based on a specific concept plan, and then, there could be a development agreement, because then it would be with a rezone. So if the general plan says business park, but they ask for a different zone, then basically the zone and the general plan don't match. It's not detrimental in any way. Generally, we like them to match. But right now, under business park zoning, which this isn't zoning, but under the zoning, it's ancillary use, not primary use. Which means like it can be in an office building, you know, it can be on the edges or something like that. There's a whole bunch of criteria for ancillary use.
So Sarah, is it, as drawn, this can function in the business park zone, and that can be an ancillary use under the conditions you're discussing?
Well, did you say that the 40,000 square foot building is the fitness center?
Correct,
Then no, it wouldn't meet the business park zoning.
because,
Because of the criteria in related to ancillary uses.
So I think the important thing to say is we support that there's a concept coming forward, and as an ancillary use, it looks like it's about maybe a quarter of the size entire site, which means that it's probably not an ancillary. But because it's currently zoned for regional commercial, he could just
Currently zoned
carve,
for ag.
sorry, general plan.
Okay.
You could just leave that in commercial if that's going to be a problem. So since we don't have this is a new concept, this could be addressed at, you know, another time.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, you know, get it. I think trying to run with a new site plan is kind of muddying the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, and the main criteria is ancillary uses cannot be more than 20% of the building area. So so in this particular case, obviously, it's more than that. So that throws an element to the discussion that we weren't fully aware of.
I'm not sure of that, because these other buildings are multi-story, so, you know, we have a multiple factor on those. So we'll do the calculations
Yeah.
and make a determination and bring it back to you. You know, and again, as your city manager is suggesting, we're not here to review site plan, but I think we were thinking it was helpful to understand the direction that we think this is going to go
100%.
as you deal with your general plan.
Can I just suggest we table this and have this come back with it? Table the city-initiated action to come back with your rezone?
Well, we're pretty much ready to come back to you with zoning, but we need the general plan in which to provide the framework for a zoning requirement.
And this will do it.
This will do it. If you approve it as we've suggested tonight, leave the 2-3 acre corner out, we're prepared to come back and we'll deal with the ancillary issue. And whether we have to adjust zoning at that point, if you like the plan, we'll come up with the right mechanism to get you to the results we're talking about.
That is one of the options, and the staff report is to continue it, and that seems to make the most sense since the rezone application is imminent.
So it'd all go at once and wouldn't hold up this project?
So, yeah, the city initiate, I may be speaking for planning, but
Yeah, I agree.
that makes a lot of
You
sense.
agree?
I agree that it's a good idea to table it.
Okay.
Because then it could all come back at the same time.
I just think that we need to look at the code more closely as far as ancillary uses and the 20%. We don't have that data in front of us tonight. We don't know what those percentages look like. If we do approve an amendment tonight, it's not that it can't be amended again,
Yeah.
but
If we don't have to
why
go through
do
the
it
process.
twice?
But it's got to go back to planning at that point, right?
Right,
And the
but-
rezone has to go to planning too.
No, this wouldn't have to go back to planning. We
Why?
can make it adjustments based upon the recommendation.
Wouldn't rezone have to go back to planning?
Rezone maybe, but not general plan.
Yeah.
I think listening to Sarah, though, to bring it back together so staff can look at what we
Yeah,
just.
no, I
we're
like
liking
this
the
plan.
design, Yeah.
100%.
Bring it back to the
Right,
council.
and so my thought is that maybe the RCBP boundary line is a little different than what's being shown tonight, and that we should look at that more closely.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're working with the applicant, because I think the council's unanimous. We like what we're seeing. We just want to make sure what we're doing is not going to impact it.
And by tabling the general plan, it's already got the recommendation from the planning commission. So that could be tweaked and you could make that modification
Okay.
with the other portion of that. But again, it's really
So will we,
up to you, Richard, as
next
to.
time around, will we be able to deal with general plan zoning in the same meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so if this isn't adding a 90-day cycle or something.
Yeah,
process,
that's my concern. I don't want to add time to your
we're happy to
process.
try to get an integrated package, everybody knows what they're getting, and you don't make a decision.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're
Taking you a
suggesting.
direction you're not happy with. And our goal was not to confuse the issue by being a little bit more informative on potential site, which I recognize it has the ability to do, but was to try to help you peek around the corner and understand where you might expect to be the next time we come in with the application. So hopefully this is all moving us in a collaborative, coordinated direction and not a conflict.
And it saves the property owner the hassle of amending the general plan as well, which normally we would request that is amended at the same time the zoning changes.
Perfect.
Great.
Okay,
We'll see you soon.
perfect. I will entertain a motion to,
I move that we table business item 1 to a future council meeting.
I'll second.
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Barton?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wadman?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for sharing your plans so we can have a healthy discussion.
Thank you.
Okay?
Chris, check your email when you get back.
Okay, business item 2, Spring Heights preliminary plat and site plan.
Okay.
Let's see if we can get to the right slide here. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. This item is the site plan and preliminary plat for Spring Heights. This is located approximately 2500 North Redwood Road. This is the location here. So this is the northernmost part of our city on Redwood Road. This site is unique in that it is located in 2 distinct zones. So adjacent to Redwood Road is regional commercial, and then as you head further west, it changes to office warehouse. And so the proposed site plan and preliminary plat propose uses in each of those zones that are appropriate in those zones. This is the preliminary plat that goes with this. You can see it's 4 lots. So there would be 2 retail lots down on Redwood Road. There is a private road on the right-hand side, which is the south side of this project, to access it off of Redwood Road, and then up as you gain elevation, as you head west, or the bottom of the screen, you see 2 larger lots. Those are for flex buildings, kind of office warehouse buildings. This is the site plan. You can see what that looks like with the buildings on the site here, also with the appropriate parking for each use. This is what the elevations look like. So in the retail portion, they are proposing these retail buildings. These are the elevations. They do meet our city code. It should be noted that because it is in the 2 different zones, there's different architectural requirements for the regional commercial, because that's also part of the gateway overlay, and the office warehouse has different architectural requirements as it's not in the gateway overlay. So as you see these elevations here, you'll notice that these have more windows. In order to meet the gateway overlay, they do have additional windows on Redwood Road and additional architectural features. And then these are the flex buildings, so these would be kind of office warehouse / flex buildings. Height on these, so typically when you think of an office warehouse building, they're kind of taller. These are actually only 22 feet tall, so they're smaller than what you might normally think. They are showing the requirements that meet our code as far as changes in the requirements for architecture, change in materials, and change in roof line. You can see here, this is their proposed landscape plan. It does meet our code. They did add additional landscape and streetscape features to meet the gateway overlay zone along Redwood Road. Adding benches, there's some trash receptacles, and then they have some extra grasses and trees on those retail lots. But both lots do meet our landscaping requirements. From your packets, staff has modified the recommended motion here, so we've added a couple more conditions that we are recommending tonight, and those are highlighted in red here. I'll just go ahead and read the new conditions that have been added since your packet. So the first one is item number 11, shall comply with the noise ordinance at all times. Item 12, or condition 12, shall comply with dark sky ordinance, and condition 13 shall comply with all requirements of the Saratoga Northgate Development Agreement. including the hours for deliveries, which prohibits uses from 10 PM to 6 AM. So that is the site plan, the applicant.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Yeah,
Go back to that last map.
this one here?
So we're office warehouse zoning back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's RC in front.
Correct.
So I understand restricting deliveries to that office warehouse during those hours. How would that impact the two RC businesses in front? And what's considered a delivery?
Yeah, that's a good
Well,
question.
it doesn't impact them because it's a different zone. So the back where the warehouses are is the office warehouse zone, and that requirement in the development agreement is specific to the office warehouse zone.
Is it to the office warehouse zone or to the development agreement? I thought.
In the development agreement, it's specific to the office warehouse.
All right, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't
have
want to like
development
prohibit
agreement there.
DoorDash from showing up at 10:30 with a delivery.
Yeah, and it's not specific to the front buildings, which are
Okay.
retail commercial.
But do we define delivery?
No.
I'm just, okay.
So sandwich or truck, I mean DoorDash or box truck, no.
Any other further?
Well, this is one of those developments, I wish there was a do not comply in there, to be honest. I think it's a terrible place for this. I'm disappointed it's here, but that's what it's zoned because it's going up right against homes. And, it's an unfortunate thing. We've all on the council and the mayor have always been advocates of protecting existing homeowners, and this is better than the prior two renditions of what we've seen over time. But staff, this isn't directed towards you. You guys have done great working with them. It's unfortunate, terrible development for right by homes.
This was the original extended stay hotel.
Yeah.
Site,
And then
right?
there was like some big
Right.
supposed Tesla factory.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still terrible, but it's better than what they've had.
Yep.
I want to share my same sentiments as Stephen just did. I hate it. I really do. Again, it is better, and we fought against the other ones for a long time as well. So I guess if you have to have the best of three evils, is this the excuse me, right thing? But I don't think it should be right there against the houses. I really don't. I know that I don't know. There's obviously can't fix that or change that, but.
I'm glad it's compliant with Gateway Overlay. I think, we're going to get the best we can out of this, out of this weird piece of property. so.
It's not a good place for it, but it's better than what was going to be there. So,
It'll be weird with the junior high next to it.
yeah. There's land right there for the junior high. They
own it, yeah.
Yeah, they own that right there.
Yeah.
The whole area is just, it's not great, but.
Okay. If there's no other comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I would just say the other comment, as they go through all the stages that they have to, the permits and everything, let's make sure we don't give them any exceptions or variances or whatever the correct legal term is at the staff level. They should get nothing, 100%
Just needs to
compliant,
follow code.
100%.
I did have one question. They're vested under the Gateway Overlay from earlier last year. What changes did we make between what they're vested at and today? Do you know?
Austin would be he processed both of those. He'd be really good at answering them.
Yeah, so some of the biggest changes are, they're basically vested from a lot of the additional streetscape requirements. That's probably the biggest difference.
Okay.
But they are showing benches which would comply with the
Okay.
latest, greatest code.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
None of us want to be on record for this, but okay. we can't make begrudging motions. So I'll move that we approve business item 2 as stated on the agenda, including all staff findings and conditions included in the report as well as presented to us this evening.
I'll second.
I have a first from Councilman Wilden, a second from Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Wadman?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have business item 3 this evening, amendments to Title 19 Land Development Code for the City of Saratoga Springs, city initiated.
Okay, yeah, so this is gateway overlay amendments. This makes some changes here. Primarily, it's about the streetscape stuff, as kind of I mentioned on the previous item. So you can see that we're striking out some language here, but we're replacing it down below with a more specific requirements. We use a table in the new code is what we're proposing to make it clearer as well as a point system, so they get points based on what amenities they're providing. So you can see we're crossing out this language here, and then we're adding in some language here about an entrance feature. So a critical component of the gateway overlay is that we do have entrance features in there. And so we wanted to provide some language and an opportunity for developers to provide the city with an entrance feature and then also give them the ability to potentially get some credit for it. So you can see that in item 8 there. And then item 9 talks about streetscaping, which we then go down to this table here. And so the table is based on different types of streetscape elements that they can have in the zone. Depending on which element they choose, it's awarded a point value. And so, higher value items will have more points. And they basically, it's kind of mix and match list. They can choose what they want to put in the gateway over, depending on what will complement their proposed use. So it gives them some flexibility. We added this example in the code, so it kind of walks you through what it would look like if you were to look at a specific property and how you would calculate those points. And so that's intended to make that easier for developers to understand what we're asking. And then you can see here, this is an example of if we were to meet the amenity requirements for that particular property shown in this screenshot. To get the 16 points, they would have to have those items shown there. And then we added these images of what we're asking for in the zone. So you can see we've added decorative receptacles, planter beds, outdoor restaurant seating, ornamental trees, benches, gas, fire pit, drinking fountain. These are all the different things that they can use. A lot of these items do have an asterisk next to them, which signifies that if there is a city-branded logo or city-branded item, that they shall use that instead of other versions of it. So for example, like the bench, they would have to use a Saratoga Springs city bench. Those are the proposed amendments to the gateway overlay.
What's the driver behind these changes? Maybe I missed that.
This has been a process for some time. I kind of picked it up halfway through the process, but I know that the intent is to make it easier for our gateway overlay, the code to be understood, also to add kind of a point value system for items.
Okay.
And then also to have a section about the entrance features. So like this, the signs that say, "Welcome to Saratoga Springs," have some language about that.
Jay, is there anything in here that talks about the residential south of that, the separation between the property and the residential area? Like, talk about a fence and.
No, there isn't. Councilwoman Barton brought that up, that she would like to see a pending ordinance come forward soon.
Okay, that's separate, that's.
So, right, we'll be bringing you a pending ordinance as soon as we possibly can to address that, and then we'll work on codifying that.
So this is more of like sidewalks and
Yeah, it's more, I would look at it it's more of like the beautification of the entrances to the city.
Perfect, thank you.
Sarah, will that pending ordinance be for all zones or for gateway overlay?
Well, we just got the request tonight, so we'll have to draft it and bring it to you. I can't answer that. I think the best thing will be commercial next to residential, and how do we
Yeah,
buffer
I understand the
those?
intent, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask, and you may, I think this is great, the way you're going about it, and maybe you've addressed this, but as far as the point system, was it based upon like estimated cost or something like that? Is that where we came up with and?
Correct, yeah. We looked at kind of dollar values for the different items, and then based on estimated, we went and got, looked at numbers, and then based on those numbers, we kind of assigned a point value.
Okay, and so if they're supposed to get to 16 points, that would be equivalent of an investment we'd
Yeah.
expect them to.
Yeah, so this one is, so this example, 16 points, they meet it by having these 4 items here. They do have to have, in order to get that, they had to have 2 outdoor restaurant seatings. So basically that means 2 tables and 8 chairs.
And I think the list is great. Like, is there like a carve out that I missed in here? If they come up with some other amenity that we think may be great, that like we didn't include on list, 1 through 11 that could be considered?
That's a good question. We did not include like an element like that, so this is tried to be more specific, but yeah, I mean, we didn't add that.
No, and I appreciate the approach. I just wonder if it would be, say, something like, another option may be considered, not that we have to consider it or something. Because if they came up with something really unique, and I can't think of anything because I'm not paid to do that, right? But it would be unfortunate to say, well, we don't have a provision for that, so we need you to put in a drinking fountain instead, or something like that.
Wait, yeah, that could be a suggested addition.
And out of curiosity, I see this as, 16 points. Is this per acre, or is it 16 points per application, or how does this particularly?
Yeah, let me go back to the top of the table here. So this is really provides a good explanation. So bullet point 1 here says, every lot within the Gateway Overlay Zone shall contribute at least 10 points of the table amenities for every 150 feet facing an arterial or collector street. So if they have greater than 150 feet, which is the case in this example, that's why they got the number 16. And so it's saying if for every 150 feet, you have to provide 10 amenity points. And then it goes on to say, if a lot within a Gateway Overlay Zone faces more than one arterial or collector, just the greater length of one arterial or collector shall be required. And then it finishes by saying each lot's required amenities may be within the lot or the subdivision. So basically giving them the flexibility to put the amenity, they don't have to put it right on that lot. They could, if it's, let's say, Steel Ridge Plaza, kind of a good example over here where they're doing the R&R Tactical, they could put like the entrance feature, for example, they could meet that could help meet the requirement for one of those businesses, but they could put it on the corner because that makes more sense for the entire development. So that's kind of what that's saying.
Okay. Perfect. I will entertain a motion.
I guess I'll do another one. I'll move that we approve business item 3 as stated on the agenda, including staff findings and conditions, also including an option that a developer may propose additional items not included on the list of features that may be considered, not required to be considered by the approving body.
Okay,
I second it.
First from Councilman Wilden. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Barton. Okay. Any further discussion?
Was that verbiage clear enough?
Yes, I think that's fine. I think if you can delegate that language to staff so that we can,
If I what?
if you can delegate that language, the specific language to staff.
Amending that staff is delegated to create that specific language to meet that intent.
Okay, I have amended first.
Second.
An amended second. Any further discussion? Karn?
Aye.
Wadman? Wilden?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Business item 4, expansion of vested mining use.
Mayor and council, the applicant is here to provide a presentation and answer any questions about this, but while they're making their way up, you want to sit up here at the microphone or just come up? While they're making their way up, I'll give a brief introduction. This is a notice of intent to expand vested mining use pursuant to Utah Code Section 17-41-501 through 503. This is the notice provided by CMC Rock. They currently own and are mining a parcel south of the city which is commonly referred to as the Jim Gay Mine. They have presumably under the statute a vested mining use down there. They would like to expand to approximately half a dozen parcels owned by Waldo Company. These parcels are directly south and east of Lake Mountain and Fox Hollow projects in the city. The city council in this meeting tonight, under the statute, they're required to hold a public meeting or a hearing. This is a public meeting, and provide notice to the property owner of the intent to expand. We provided that notice to Waldo by mail as well as email. And under the statute, like I mentioned, the existing vested mining is presumed to be in existence. It's also presumed that the property owner has the right to expand. And under the statute, there is a provision that allows the city council to make finding by clear and convincing evidence that there would be an imminent danger to the public health, safety, and welfare. And if the council does not make that finding, they do have under the statute the presumed right to expand. Of course, they have to also get permits from the state of Utah. But that's really all I have by way of introduction, and I'll turn it over to the applicant to introduce himself and provide a presentation.
Hi, my name is Todd Cusick. I represent CMC. I'm the owner of CMC. I appreciate your time here tonight. I'll quickly go over some of the things that Mr. Thurman already has gone over, and move to the point where if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them for you. This was originally prepared for a meeting in October 15th of 2024. We've added just a couple of things to it recently. To review the code that Mr. Thurman referenced already, a mine operator means a successor that owns or controls or manages mining use under a large mine permit issued by the DOGM, or Division of Oil and Gas and Mining here in Utah, that has produced commercial quantities of mineral deposits in its mining use. Only a mine operator holds vested mining rights and the right to expand those vested mining rights. Just to show you that we have been approved by the DOGM, there's a copy of the letter from the DOGM. The history of this mine is on the next slide. It dates back to the 1940s, where Western Fire and Clay and Geneva Steel pulled different products out of this mine. 1960 to 1923, Interstate Brick, Pacific Coast Building, and Ashgrove Cement all used products out of this mine. In 1977, it became a large mine permit under the state of Utah rules, and Interstate Brick was the operator, and they held that permit with the DOGM. In 2023, the large mine permit was transferred to our company, CMC. The expansion of a large mine under Section 17, new land related in mineralization, mineral trend, or geologic offshoot can be part of the expansion. There are three that we've referenced here, public studies that well establish the connection and the mineralization of these lands in question The one that we focused on when we met with Utah County was the 2004 HRLO study published by the state of Utah under the Utah Geological Survey. That was the most updated study that really expanded upon the June 1951 University of Utah study and the 1948 University of Utah study. All of these things, I will forward to the next slide here and then go backwards. All of these geologic concepts that I'll review here in just a few, I'll just take a few minutes to do it, can be seen right there on your computer by going to this website that the state of Utah maintains. Written notice was provided to your city on September 3rd of the expansion of this year, and we expected a hearing to be 10 days after that point, or September 17th, and I don't believe that ever happened. This next map here will give you an idea of where these lands that we're talking about sit. If you can try to orient yourself, you can clearly see the lake there and the point that points out into the lake known as Pelican Point. I assume most of you know where that is. You can see that on the right-hand side of the lands. The road going through there is, of course, Highway 68 or Redwood Road. Anything that is in colored cross-hatched are lands that we are discussing here. On the north, you see the green color, then the blue and the red. In the middle of all of these lands is the light blue, purple, yellow, and then the yellow extends all the way down to the southern part of the lake there. There's about 3,000 acres in total that we control. They're owned by Waldo. We have a 50-year lease on all the mining rights related to the Waldo properties. We currently operate down in the yellow and light blue area. That is where most of our operations are centered right now. To give you, I'm going to fast forward this just a little bit, see if I can get all the way to, so there you go, to slide 12. Slide 12 gives you another orientation of where these lands are. You can see Pelican Point once again. There in the middle on the right with the blue of the lake represented the south end of the city. And then all of these areas that are blocked out in bold black are part of this expansion. Now, they all don't concern your city. The ones that I've just sort of messily put a red squiggle line through, those were all handled in a hearing with the county in September. The county received their notice at the same time that the city did. We held a meeting in September according to the schedule of state law, and we handled that with the county, and they unanimously approved the expansion. And so everything that has a red squiggle on it, that was already handled with the Utah County Commission. This is just simply a copy of the front page of the 2004 HRLO report that well documents the connection of the mineralization of all of these lands. What you have on the right-hand side is simply a diagram inside of that report that we've pulled out to show you how the various formations of these mineral offshoots connect with one another. This was also well established back in 1951 and 1948. Here's the Bullock University of Utah report and some reference to that. Here's the Crawford and Buranek 1948 report. Interestingly enough, on the right-hand side of this, you can see how they've made these connections right down to the chemical nature of the different minerals that are in this in these formations. Those can actually be tied to, here's a report right out of our mine site from August 10th of 2022. All of the chemical properties are still in place and connect all of those geologic offshoots on these maps. I'm now caught back up to page 12 to explain to you, if you're not a geologist or sort of amateur geologist, how these studies work. You'll see on the left-hand side, what's that? Oh, sorry, not updating? Okay, thanks, Taylor. You'll see on the left-hand side of this comes out of the Hurlo 2004 report, the various cross-sections where the geologists essentially draw lines somewhat on an east to west direction here. They go through and connect all of these geologic offshoots between these lines, AA, B, B prime, and C, C prime. And that shows you that these lands that we're talking about relate to the study that Hurlo published in 2004. And once again, you can see in bold blocks there the lands that we are talking about. If you're interested in what the various formations are that are in these mineral offshoots and the names of them, here they are circled in red. Butterfield Peaks, West Canyon, Manning Canyon, Great Blue Limestone, Humbug Formation, and Deseret Limestone. Those are the different limestones, mostly, that we mine in the Jim Gay mine that carry north and south throughout the entire Lake Mountains. Interestingly enough, they actually dip down below the valley floor out in the northwest part of Eagle Mountain and show themselves again over on the Ochre Mountains. And that can be seen in the next slide, where on the far left you see the Ochre Mountains with the same showing of these various formations, the colors that connect them, how they dip down below Fairfield, come back out and over through the valley, up and through the Lake Mountain syncline, which Lake Mountain is, of course, the lake on the west side of Utah Lake, and then show themselves again at the shoreline of Utah Lake. Here's a cross-section that's more close up along the lake, and that approaches and goes through your city. Is there any questions about the geology of all this before I move on? Because I'm about done with that. I just wanted to show you that it's all there. It's very well documented. It's been documented since 1948, maybe even before then. We just didn't think we needed to go back any further to show the mineralization and the connection between these lands and the lands that have been mined and that we're currently mining. You can see these things if you'd like as you just travel through your city and you see these limestones pop up here and there. They all run north and south on basically a north and south direction through your city and then dive back down into the ground and head northwest over into the base of the Ochre Mountains. There's been some question from the staff about issues of things like safety and permitting and reclamation, health questions and things like that related to our project and expansion. Here's a list of how we're regulated in that regard. Safety is regulated by the U.S. Department of Mine Safety and Health Administration, otherwise commonly known as MSHA. Sorry. Thank you, Taylor, for keeping me up to speed here. The second bullet point, the permitting and some aspects of safety, reclamation and mining operation is handled by the state of Utah Division of Oil and Gas and Mining. And as Mr. Thurman said here earlier, any mining activity that we start will have to be permitted with them first. What we've simply done in here is made a declaration of the lands that are associated with these mining rights. And any health issues, air quality was a question from the staff. That is all regulated by the state of Utah Division of Environmental Quality. Those are the entities that we work with that regulate our day-to-day activities. One of the questions that has come from working with Mr. Lappin and others here at the city, is the conflict of being so close to homes. And homes are. And as we looked at these lands and the geologic features of these lands, what we've simply done is made a declaration that we needed to make according to Section 17 Utah Code. We are certainly not declaring that any and all parts of these lands would be mined. That's not sensible. Mother Nature determined a long time ago what makes sense to mine. And then there's the practical aspect of the fact that we're a business that's part of the community here and what makes sense to mine from that aspect as well. And in that regard, there's some natural buffers on these lands that exist, future to be built, that create areas that line up very well with what we've discovered from our geologic exploration. And so on the next slide, I'm going to focus on the areas, that map was big and had a lot of county lands. This map right here focuses on the most northern lands closest to the city and is a concept that we've shared, at least with Mr. Lappin, as a suggestion at which we could take part of these lands, maybe as part of a development agreement or some other agreement with the city, and voluntarily agree that here's some areas that we can stay out of that are close to homes that exist today. This is unfortunately none by me, so it's not really smooth and pretty, but I think it can communicate what needs to be communicated here. If you look at the little legend I hand drew on the bottom of here, I've essentially placed Mountain View Corridor within a reasonable accuracy. I've colored it two different colors. On the north, there is the red, and then on the last little bit of it, the plan, according to Utah, is to connect it roughly in this area back to Highway 68 or Redwood Road. I've given it two different colors for a reason here I'll cover in just a second. The buffer area in section 13, sorry, it was kind of hard to read because red gets convoluted there. Section 13, there's an area that I've cross-hatched by hand. There in the southeast corner of section 13, and then going down towards section 24. That was previously mined out by another company, Hadco, TM Crushing. I think there's various names under that operation. That area has all been mined out. It, in elevation, if you're familiar with that land, is maybe as much as a couple 100 feet lower than the green crosshatched area just above it. So there's not a very smooth transition between those lands and the Waldo property in the green crosshatch. One area we would suggest or one way to simply to make a buffer between potential activities that we would engage in the future when we get to the point of permitting. Mountain View Corridor makes a nice natural buffer between any potential activities, as it's essentially a 400-foot wide freeway. It won't be at the beginning, of course, but eventually it will be. And I've colored it red to a point where going south to where it meets that green crosshatch area in section 13, where there's a more natural and even wider buffer between current homes and any areas in which we would suggest we would do activity. And that is it's roughly 160 acres of already previously mined out areas. And that's in the red crosshatch. And then as you go down south on that crosshatch area, there's some areas in the Waldo property in the green crosshatch where Mountain View Corridor is colored purple and heads back towards Highway 68. That is also a natural area to not include in any areas that we would mine, simply because it's just not prospective. Mother Nature didn't leave materials there that would fit to be mined. Most of those materials in that area are south and east of there. So this is a concept that we haven't had time to discuss in a meeting. We attempted to set up a meeting with staff here, and we just ran out of time, I guess, during the holidays and weren't able to coordinate that. We think we can come up with some concepts where Waldo would be willing to, through some sort of agreement in some way, development agreement, whatever you want to call it, take areas out of the equation, if you will, for areas that could potentially be mined and remove them by way of agreement. At the moment, the entire parcels, all of them have been designated because that's what we were required to do under Section 17 of Utah Code. So I'm ready for any questions that you might have.
Kevin, you had something?
I was just going to mention, I forgot to say this at the beginning, we also received a report from Avenue Consultants about potential impacts of mining, this type of mining in the area. It was a little challenging because we don't have a lot of details about what this mining will be. But as far as the report was concerned, it did identify different concerns with air quality, noise, and visual impacts that this could create if a mining use came in here. So anyway, just wanted to mention that. The applicant also has a copy of that, and I believe has reviewed that.
We haven't gone through it in detail. I'm very familiar with, I've gone through it cursory, very familiar with the issues that were identified in that report. And once again, all of those issues are either regulated at the federal level or the state level. And that's who we're accountable to in that sense from a permitting standpoint to deal with those issues.
Council?
Couple of things from me. I appreciate your willingness to be creative in the areas you're looking at. I realize you have to declare everything. Obviously, I have a lot of concern about this type of operation. Mark, can you see number 19 on that screen? Right above your head? Okay, the bottom where it says Waldo Development Partial in green hatch. Yes, is that, where's Tuguayo sit?
Tuguayo is in 30 and 19.
Okay.
And that Mountain View corridor.
It's actually more south, isn't it?
It's much further south. This is pulling it straight down, and it would really probably attach probably closer.
Yeah, because it comes through Tuguayo.
Right.
It comes almost due east of the Independent Point.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the point is probably right in here somewhere.
Okay.
And so that's likely where that would be. So that alignment there is north of Tuguayo, and this would be probably the midpoint of Tuguayo is about.
Okay.
And I don't know what Tuguayo is.
It's an approved development.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Land, yeah.
So relative to this, and I think this is one of the things, I believe the application is somewhere around 828 acres total is what was identified in those various plats. It's a big number.
And you know, appreciate the information that Todd has shared. I think from a staff perspective, we'd like to have more time to be able to sit down with them and kind of understand some of the nuances. Obviously, some of the information that he's presenting, again, you know, understanding what those buffer areas are between existing housing. Obviously, some other concerns are, you know, obviously, like, for example, we use Harbor Parkway, which is just north of here. I think we'd have some significant concerns about that becoming a haul route for a lot of materials and things down to Redwood Road. Obviously, as Mountain View Corridor builds, that could be a state road, and then hauling on that as opposed to hauling through neighborhoods and other things. I think a lot of the citizens will have concerns about, their neighborhood roads becoming truck routes and things of that nature. And I think we have the opportunity to work with Todd and his team to make sure that we can address some of those concerns. But again, it's going to, we're going to need to sit down and pencil out how will the access work? How will some of those impacts look like? Again, tonight's not probably the night for decisions on that, but obviously the big question I know that is for the community is how do we address ultimately the health concerns, the safety concerns, and the impacts that will be on existing development as well as future development? Because this is, you mentioned, I think, a 50-year lease on some of these mining rights.
It can also be extended too, but at the moment it's 50-year rights, yes. Now, is Harbor Parkway the road that
it's right
TM used for years?
Potentially. I don't know. I don't know which road they used.
Okay, yeah, I think that it is. I just wanted to.
It's a very steep road, though.
Yeah, I think Harbor Parkway is the road that TM used for years. We have no intention of driving.
Right.
I'll tell you what, on my phone, I don't know if it's this one, but another phone that I went up there one day years ago and just took a picture of a TM truck driving out of there that was had 38 to 40 ton of a load on it. And in the side of the picture is a street sign by Saratoga that says limit 17 tons.
Yeah.
And I wondered, how does that happen? So we have no intention of driving double bellies down Harbor Parkway.
Right. Well, no. And I think that those are the kinds of things that as we have an opportunity to work together, we can resolve those concerns and make sure that.
I think we have a lot of concerns because Lot Canyon came in. It was not a good partner.
Right.
Took a road into a mud pit.
Yep.
They've just been
Let
horrible.
me ask you about that if you wouldn't mind.
Probably not best for a public meeting.
No, yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to know what the concerns were with that operation.
Well, it's unincorporated county, and there's a lot of concerns with it. We'll share with you at another time.
Okay.
So I'm seeing stuff here that I don't think staff's had an opportunity to fully digest and work on. Mayor, if I could make a motion?
Yeah, I just want to add before you make a motion, with the Mountain View corridor, I think it's great that you put it on a map and we know, like with UDOT, 2 fingers is anywhere where a road's at. If we can get kind of that alignment figured out on the map, and then, Teguayo, I think we just kind of made aware of what's going on with Ivory in that area, just so that's all part of the full, if it's a 50-year lease, that's within 50 years. What's the plan?
Right.
How do these two things interact? So I'm happy to entertain a motion. Councilman Carn, I just wanted to add to your comment on the Mountain View corridor line.
Well, and if I could, just one other thought. And when we met with Todd and his group earlier, I mean, there are some things up here where we actually need some material extraction in place for debris basins and other things. And where possible, that's probably a good partnership of what they want to do with materials. And if we could use that as like a debris basin or something like that for future, I mean, there's some beneficial uses and some coordinations we could work with that would help protect the community and have, dual benefits for the community. So I think there's room, obviously, for collaboration and probably some positive outcomes. But again, I think there's still a lot of unknowns as well.
Okay. My motion's a bit of a mouthful, I think.
Okay, I'll entertain the motion.
Okay. Make sure I got this right. Yeah. Okay, I move to table business item 4 to a date to be determined to allow city staff the opportunity to meet with the applicant to discuss various mitigation measures, including but not limited to appropriate buffers between the expanded mining use and residents and city property. Continuance of this matter and discussing of mitigation measures is necessary because of the expansion. Without mitigation will imminently endanger the public health, safety, and welfare for the following reasons, and as more fully specified in the report from Avenue Consultants. 1, quarry operations, if not properly managed, can pose significant risk to the health, welfare, and safety of surrounding communities. 2, there is a clear connection between mining activities and adverse health outcomes. Without proper safeguards, quarry operations can release harmful pollutants into the environment. 3, the US EPA Toxic Release Inventory reveals that harmful metals, including mercury, arsenic, and selenium, are present in soils throughout the Great Basin. These pollutants can be released into the air as a result of quarry operations, further threatening public health and the environment. 4, due to the proposed mining expansion, proximity to Utah Lake, residential properties, and city utility infrastructure, there's a significant risk that chemicals used in mining could adversely affect public health. And 5, if adequate and efficient mitigation measures are not implemented, there's a real and urgent risk of harm to the environment, public health, and the safety of the surrounding area.
Okay, I have a
Wow.
first from Councilman Carn
Second.
and a second from Councilman Wadman. Any further discussion?
No, I just think that the staff and the applicant need to meet and talk about some of these issues
I agree with that.
and come back.
Perfect. Councilman Carn?
Aye.
Wadman?
Aye.
Barton?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you for taking the time to come present tonight.
Sure, thank you.
That was very helpful.
It was.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we will take a short recess, but I will entertain a motion to move into closed session following a short break.
So moved.
I have a first from Wilden.
Second.
Second from Carn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?